All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number 3. That is right, week number 333. Week number 3 of your 9489 class, which is your Cultural Heritage class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. J.S.K. Austin. And what we are going to do this week in this week's check-in video is a quick state of the course update. And then after we do that state of the course update, what we are going to do is talk about 2 common APA mistakes. Now, if you've had me in a class before, and I think most of you have, or if you're taking me in reference this semester, and I know at least one of you is also taking me for reference this semester. If you've either had me before or you're taking me in reference, you don't have to watch the APA mistakes part of this again, because you're gonna I have it as a check-in video and reference for this week. And then also, if you've had me before, it's the same information that I give out every single semester. So yes, if you want a refresher, then by all means watch the full video. But if you remember all that stuff that I talked about related to the APA mistakes, then it's totally fine for you to say, hey, I remember all that. I don't need this. I don't need a refresher in it. I'm going to go ahead and, after the state of the course update, turn the video off. That is totally fine. By the way, you can speed this video up. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into that state of the course update, and then we will talk about those 2 common APA mistakes. The first thing that I really want you all to be aware of is that we are going to have a sync session next week, next Wednesday, so there will not be a check-in video next week. We are going to be speaking with Cassie Clark, and she's going to be talking about her cultural heritage project, which centers around North Carolina. However, her cultural heritage project could give you some ideas on what to do for your own heritage projects in the future. Just because hers is focused on North Carolina doesn't mean you can't borrow ideas from her. It doesn't mean that you can't borrow ideas from her to use in your own cultural heritage projects in the future. So you could duplicate what she does, but do it for Missouri or do it for Kansas City or St. Louis or whatever else, okay? So keep that in mind as you listen to next week's presentation. The second thing that I want to talk about is you do have an assignment that's going to be due basically in 2 weeks. So it'll be due Sunday of next week, the 16th, the Sunday of week 4, that is, I should say. And that's going to be your visit to a cultural heritage site, write-up and reflection. If you have any questions about that assignment, or if you have questions as to whether or not what you're going to actually counts as a heritage site, by all means, contact me and ask, and I'm very happy to answer those questions for you all, okay? And then outside of that, week 3, landscape, natural heritage, that's all great and all gravy. With what you are doing this week, I think that you all, again, will enjoy the St. Helena Island video. I think it's one of the best free cultural heritage videos, free to access cultural heritage videos related to landscape, heritage and natural heritage that you're going to find out there. So I really hope you all enjoy that, and I really hope it informs your view and your understanding of landscape and natural heritage, and I do think it will, especially going through with those readings. Again, this is kind of a lighter week. I spoke about this in one of the previous check-in videos, but I spoke about how because your content was so heavy, that foundational content was so heavy in the first 2 weeks, I gave you landscape/natural heritage is usually the third one mentioned, and usually people talk about tangible and intangible heritage first, but we're going to talk about the natural heritage first because, again, you have those heavy first 2 weeks. So you're still in your first 5 weeks of foundational knowledge, but I put the lighter subject in the third week because you had such heavy and dense reading in your first 2 weeks. And then we'll talk about tangible heritage next week and intangible heritage in week 5. All right. So that's pretty much it with the state of the course updates. And now let's talk about your APA mistakes and how to avoid them. Give me one moment. All right. So we're going to get into talking about these 2 common APA mistakes. And again, what I want you all to realize is that with any of your formal papers in this class, so I'm not going to take off for APA mistakes on your discussion board prompts. I don't do that. Those are more informal. But for your formal papers that you're going to be turning in, your site visit, your 4 heritages paper, if you do the final, I am going to, if you do the final as a final paper as opposed to a heritage project, I should say. For those sorts of things, yes, I'm going to be counting off for improper APA use. And so I do want to cover very quickly 2 common APA mistakes that I have students make all the time, and how to avoid making those mistakes. All right. So first of all, let's go to the Purdue OWL. For those of you who might have been out of school for a little while and are not familiar with the Purdue OWL, usually my younger students do know what the Purdue OWL is, and it kind of helped get them even through undergraduate school. But a lot of my older students don't know what the Purdue OWL is. And so if you put in, what is Cam up to? Okay, whatever. All right, I'll read that later. All right. So the Purdue OWL is a free resource, a free citation resource, free over the web, and it is offered through Purdue University. And so you can go here. If you just Google APA Purdue OWL, it will take you to the APA section of the Purdue OWL. Now, there is also, Purdue OWL also does have Chicago. It's got MLA and some of the others, but we are doing APA in my classes, okay? So first things first, let's get this first common mistake out of the way. And the first common mistake has to deal with author names. So let's do references list authors. We're going to come here. And so if we scroll down, what I want you all to realize, and again, please don't make this mistake in your formal papers. When you do a references list, this is specifically for the references list, you do not list your first and middle names of the authors. You only write the last name out, and then for the middle name and the first name, you actually just initialize them. So let's take a gender neutral first name here. Let's go with Sam, because you do have men and women who go by Sam. And let's say that this person, we knew this person's name was Sam Ahmad. I don't know what their name is, but let's go with that. Even if we knew what their first and middle names were, we would not write them out in a references list. So in the references list, you put Ahmad, comma, S, period. You do not put Ahmad, comma, Sam. You put Ahmad, comma, S, period. So as you scroll down, you're going to see the same thing happening over and over again here. Soto, comma, C, period, J, period. So even if this person was Clarence James Soto, I'm just making that up, you would not write all that out. You would just put Soto, comma, C, period, J, period. And as you can see, you keep that going with all of the authors. So we've got 2 authors here. We don't write out the first and middle names of either. Here we've got 3 to 20 authors, and we're still doing the same thing. And then here are more than 20 authors, and we are still doing the same thing. Okay, so all of that to say, don't ever write out in your references list for APA, do not ever write out the first or middle names. If you do that, I will penalize, okay? Now, I do want you all to also understand, because I've been dinged on my student evaluations. I've been dinged by people who are like, well, he's a nitpicky grader, and they were talking about me making them do their citation right. And I think this is just a generational thing. I don't mean the generation bash here, but I just think it's a thing. I'm a elder millennial, or an exennial, if you will, so slash like on that cusp of millennial and Generation X, born in 1983. So for somebody born in 1983, I consider myself old school. I consider myself having gone through an old school type of educational system where the philosophy and the belief was you teach people how to do things right. And I do think that things have kind of gone away from that. And so now we do have a generation of people within, younger millennials and Gen Z. I do think we have a generation of people who think it could be a little aggressive, so to speak, to make students have the discipline to actually do things right. And so, again, this isn't generational bashing, but still, I have an old school approach to where I do feel that I'm doing you a disservice if I don't hold you accountable to doing things right. So, yes, if you think I'm nitpicky because I'm making you do the APA right, I apologize, but I am going to make you do it right, because some of you are going to end up in libraries or other organizations where you're going to be expected to know how to use citation styles. And so that does start at the school level, holding you accountable, teaching you how to use them, teaching you what some common mistakes are, and expecting you to actually do things right. I want to expect you to do things right because I want you to get a good job when you finish here. And so on the job, they're probably going to want you to do things right. Otherwise, why pay you? Okay, so that is it for the name part, but then there is one other common mistake that I want to discuss very quickly here, and that's going to be related to the books and periodical titles. So here's something that a lot of students get wrong until I bring it to their attention, and that is the when you are writing titles of books in APA reference lists, you do not capitalize everything like you would in normal English. Again, you do not capitalize everything like you would in normal English. What gets capitalized is the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, and any proper nouns. Again, first word of the title, first word of the subtitle, and any proper nouns. So you see that format right here. You see that work would be lowercase, letter also, and subtitle is lowercase. So let's take an actual real example. They have Alexander the Great, A Life and Legend. As you can see, life and legend, those are both lowercase. Now, great is capitalized, but here's the thing. Alexander the Great is the actual proper noun. Alexander the Great is the proper noun, okay? But even in a proper noun, you do not capitalize the articles. So, if it's in the proper noun, you still don't capitalize it. You only capitalize it if it is the first word of the title or subtitle. So for Alexander the Great, yes, you do capitalize Alexander, you capitalize Great, and then for A Life and Legend in the subtitle, A is the only word that you capitalize. Scroll down and we'll see something similar going on with all of these. So for A Companion to Mallory, I'm going to scroll down. Well, actually, that might actually be somewhere else. Oh, here we go. This will help us. So writing your journal article in 12 weeks, a guide to academic publishing success. Writing is the first word of the title, so it's capitalized, and then A is the first word of the subtitle, so it's capitalized. But as you can see, your journal article, 12 weeks, guide, academic publishing success. All of those words are lowercase, okay? And that is on purpose. They are supposed to be lowercase in APA. All right. There it is. A New Companion to Mallory. So as you can see here, this is our title, and Mallory is capitalized because it's a proper noun. But as you can see, New and Companion are not capitalized. Now, things get a little funkier when we go into articles and periodicals. So a periodical, for those of you who don't know, a periodical is something that comes out on a set periodic basis. So something like a magazine, a journal, or a newspaper, those sorts of things that have volume and issue numbers. And they come out periodically, and it's like a set period of coming out. So like quarterly or annually or monthly or weekly or daily. So if you have something that came out in, like they had a winter edition and then they have April, May, June, July editions, though that's not going to be, it jumped from quarterly to monthly, that's not going to be something that is considered a periodical generally. Now you can have special issues. So a lot of times what you'll do is like, you will see periodicals that are like quarterly periodicals. They come out every quarter, but then they might have like a special issue one month. Special issue doesn't disqualify it from being a periodical. But let's get back into here. So when we have what you have to remember here is that when you are dealing with periodicals, this funky capitalization rule only counts for the titles of the articles and not the titles of the periodicals. So let me explain. Going further down, we have an example here. There is a journal called The New Criterion, and as you can see, The New Criterion is following your regular English capitalization rules. New is capitalized, Criterion is capitalized. However, we have an article title, The Eclipse of Listening. Eclipse is lowercase, listening is lowercase. And so that is following what we saw with the books, where you would only have the capital on the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, and then proper nouns. But we have none of that going on here. So let's scroll down here and you'll see the same thing going on here. This is an electronic journal. The Purdue Journal of Service Learning and International Engagement. As you can see, of and are the only words that are lowercase there, so you're following the normal English rules here. However, and this is again for your publication or your periodical title. However, for your article title, you have data capitalized, you have negotiating capitalized, but everything else is lowercase. Experience, design, community-oriented digital research, service learning, all lowercase. Okay, and that's going to continue. I hate that they use time as an example here because that's one word, but time is your magazine title is capitalized, but as your article title, Better Late Than Never, you see the better is the only word capitalized, and then scrolling down, newspapers again are the same way. The Country Today, italicized and capitalized all the way through because this is the name of the newspaper, The Country Today. But as you can see here, the title of the article, calls made to strengthen state energy policies, lowercase for made, strengthen state energy and policies. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and leave it right there because I have somewhere I have to be. But yes, please know that, again, I'm going to be checking for these on your formal assignments, but not on the discussion boards. If you have errors in your discussion board formatting, do not worry about it because those are more informal. I am a message away if you need me. I'm glad to have you all here. I do, again, hope you enjoyed the St. Helena video and the readings for this week, and I will see you in the discussion boards. I am Dr. Jason. Not knowing your citation styles can be seen as a disgrace in this field. All right, you all have a great one, and again, no check-in video next week, but I will see you in a live sync session. Ta-ta now.